Welcome to The Other Side, Mississippi Today's political podcast. I'm Jeff Pender, joined here today with two of my colleagues, Davna Bose, our education reporter.
Good morning, Jeff.
How are you doing?
Good.
Thank you for joining us. And Bobby Harrison.
Hey, Jeff. Hey, Devin. I don't think I've done this for you before, so.
Okay. New combination here.
New combination.
All
Excited.
right. We have today as our special guest, Mr. Ricky Neaves. He is the executive director of the Mississippi High School Activities Association. He has been involved in public education for 47 years. It's his fifth year as director of this organization, but 32 years as an educator, was formerly principal and superintendent of Boonville Public Schools. And I believe you said you've been with the Activities Association for 15 years total. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. I was here 10 years as associate director, basically in charge of eligibility, and then got the opportunity to move to executive director 5 years ago.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. And maybe if we can get started, tell us a little bit about what your organization does.
Well, our organization is it is 245 high schools spread across the state of Mississippi. 327 middle schools are all a member of our association. And what we do is enforce all the bylaws that are set forth and voted on by our executive council and our executive committee that are proposed through our schools. Our organization is run by our schools, and our rules and regulations are all put forth by our schools. So we're in charge of that, but we're also in charge of putting on all of the state championships and doing the classifications and making sure that we do have competitive balance among all of our schools. And that's basically it in a nutshell over what we do.
Okay.
And let me say this, it's not just athletics. We also do activities such as band, speech and debate, cheer and dance, and a lot of those. So it is all encompassing for basically all the extracurriculars in our schools.
Okay. Davna, we kind of have a main topic today. Maybe can you get us started on what's going on?
Sure. So, and Ricky, I'm probably going to need your help a little bit here. But yesterday we heard at the Education Freedom Committee meeting from Chad and Tim at MHSAA about kind of their concerns when it comes to expanding school choice here, how that's going to impact athletics and activities. And I believe the main concern here is that it's going to create like a college type atmosphere where there is recruitment going on, which I know is a big no-no with the MHSAA and very hard to prove, which I'd love to hear a little bit more about. But yeah, just we're seeing, I believe in other states that it's creating an atmosphere where the best athletes are kind of transferring and going to other schools, and that's creating it. The phrase that Chad used yesterday is it's destroying the competitive nature of high school sports. Yes,
and that is our biggest fear, is that we will turn into I use the phrase all the time, we are high school. We are not college. We are not pro. And our whole initiative is to do what's best for each and every one of our high schools and the communities that they serve. It's a real big deal for communities to come and support their schools. We're afraid that with school choice, if that also incurs their eligibility to participate in extracurricular activities, that it will become like the new atmosphere at our colleges today, where players go to one school and play one sport. Next year, there's another school playing the same sport, or even in some states right now, you can play football at one high school, transfer and play basketball at another high school, and then baseball in the spring at another high school, and never change residence. And there's a lot of unfairness, we believe, to that, beginning with the unfairness of the people in the community where a student chooses to go and play, if they don't live there, there's no tax base coming in there for that school to operate on. And those people and students that have lived there all their life all of a sudden are not getting to play, but they're still having the tax burden that family does not face in that district. So this is about competitive balance as far as we're concerned.
There seems to be two issues. There's the issue of school choice among public schools, people being able to freely go from one public school to another public school, and the issue of course, the issue of school choice among public money going to private schools. Are you saying both of those issues could result in recruitment and sort of skewing the competitive balance?
Yes, sir. I am saying that, and I will say right now there is recruiting going on at both public and private schools as we speak. It's something that we guard against. It's something that we do our best to investigate and improve if that is going on. But it has greatly affected some of our schools as far as students leaving and going to a private school where we have no jurisdiction.
You touched on something I've wondered how much of this goes on now. You know, you hear talk of that there's recruitment, high school football in particular. There's a lot of recruitment that goes on. How widespread is it now?
I won't say that it's widespread and running rampant at this time, but it is going on. We have proven recruitment at some schools and have had to deal with that, and that is a harsh penalty. It is those student athletes that were recruited are deemed ineligible. That school pays a hefty fine, and then that sport is taken out of the playoffs for X number of years, and that really affects that program going forward. It could be almost as fatal as the death penalty years ago that was put on some of the colleges for recruiting violations. And I will tell you this, I received an email yesterday, and I won't name the schools, of course, at this time because we are investigating it, where a mother said her husband was contacted by school A about leaving school B and coming and playing at his school for him, that he would like to have him. That happens to be, I'll tell you, that was a public to public. I'm not going to cast stones at our private schools. They're not the only ones that recruit. I have said for years that if we're going to cast stones toward those, we better clean up our act first. We have schools and coaches, booster clubs are getting involved in that. So although it's not running rampant, we do have cases of it, and it does skew the competitive balance of some schools.
Jeff, you mentioned football. I mean, I'm a old sports editor going way back up in Northeast Mississippi, like you mentioned.
You float Daily Journal.
Yes, sir. And back when I was sports editor, I think it was Dr. Morris who was in your position. Wasn't that his name?
That's correct, yes.
Anyway, you can speak more about it than I can, but up in Northeast Mississippi, there's about 18 high schools thereabout that don't play football. They just play basketball. And I guess that still is going on. And those schools were just ultra competitive, and there was always charges of recruitment going on. They're small schools, but they were really into basketball and competitive, and they tried to do what it took to
win. I misspoke, Bobby. I'm so short, I never really played basketball. So, I just referenced football there.
Bobby, you are correct. I'm from North Mississippi myself. Born and raised in Southella and coached and taught there for years, and then went to Boonville. Those same schools are still there. Most of them still do not play football, and most of them are still accused of recruiting. So it goes on in every sport, and I will tell you now it is drifting over into baseball and fast pitch softball. Football is getting worse, believe it or not, because of the 7-on-7 competitions and all of the travel ball. soccer is going the same way, and we have had trouble with volleyball here lately because of the club sport. A lot of individuals outside of our schools use young people as pawns to try to make their club sports better and to maybe have a say on where that student goes to high school and plays. So it is a never-ending problem for us.
Does this recruitment, does it include money? I mean, how do they?
I personally have never known of a case where money was passed. I know there are jobs given because of it. I know there have been apartments given for a move, and even allegations of vehicles. Now, I have not proven any vehicles given, but there again, as it gets worse at the level above us in the NIL, it's going to drift down. And that's what we're guarding against.
Well, back to the school choice. What are your biggest fears there? What would that look like if the worst came true?
If the worst came true, it would be like we refer to as the Wild Wild West. And I'll use Florida as an example. I'm very familiar with what goes on there. There's players in Florida that are playing football in the Miami area, and this spring they will fly every day to Panama City and they'll play baseball up in that area without any thing. And it is going on in West Virginia. A good friend of mine was the executive director there. West Virginia legislature passed school choice that included athletic eligibility. And after 1 year of that, the competition got so out of line that the legislature went back and tried to stop school choice because of it. And some of the closest games that year in the playoffs were like 56-0 and 66-6. I say the rich will get richer and the poor will get poorer. And my fear is that it will ruin, as Bobby mentioned, it may even close some of our small schools in all areas across the state because kids will drift somewhere else, but it will kill the community support for a lot of our schools. I like to use myself sometimes, and that's not a good idea, but I used to be a big follower of pro football and pro baseball, especially baseball. I am not anymore because you never know who's going to be on the team anymore. There's no loyalty out there to the team, and it's becoming the same way in college. You don't know who's going to be playing for you next year, and I don't want to see it come that way at our high school level.
You've touched on two things that I want to ask about. Yesterday, heard quite a bit of pushback. I heard a few of these same stats that you've talked about just now, in particular about Florida, and it seemed like Representative Felsher was a little bit skeptical and seemed to think that this was a little bit of hyperbole. He asked Chad, where he was getting these numbers from, that, there were going to be some academic transfers, but Chad was like, there are going to be quite a few of these because of sports. And the representative asked, where are you getting this information from? And when Chad said Florida, he said, well, Florida is top ranked in school choice and top ranked in education. And so I'm wondering, for people who are saying this is an exaggeration, what is your response?
My response to that is we already have over 2,000 transfers a year that are turned into us to decide if those students are eligible or not for competition. Out of those 2,000 a year on average, anywhere from 7 to 18% of those are ineligible. Now, here is my problem. If it's not about athletics, if the transfer is not for athletic purposes, then why, if they're deemed ineligible, is there such a fuss? I have told a lot of schools and a lot of parents, just to be honest, that if this is not about athletics, you're in that school and you can get all the academics you want. And then next year, after sitting out, you can play athletics. So if it's not about athletics, why are you here threatening a lawsuit? And that is my answer to that, it being all about athletics.
Sure. And we've heard a little bit of the fear of school choice is that, like you said, bigger schools are going to get bigger, rural schools are going to get smaller. And we know that, high school football and sports culture at these smaller schools is so part of the fabric of who they are. Can you talk a little bit more about that for people who maybe didn't grow up here and don't know that about our state?
I will, but before I do that, I want to add one thing. Right now, nationwide, you're hearing about the Mississippi Miracle and how our schools have improved and got off the bottom. And I am very proud of that because I worked very hard on the academic side all through my career. And it's important. I happen to think that the better off you are athletically spreads over and you're also good academically. But if we've come so far to get off the bottom, why now? I would like somebody to answer that. Now, as far as the fabric go, for years and years growing up in the state of Mississippi, it was all about Friday night lights. If you were wanted to see anybody on Friday night, you went to the local high school football game because everybody was there. The community supported it. The community supported the school, and it was all about. I don't want to say it was all about athletics. Athletics built a bond between the athletic side of the school and the academic side of the school because it was stressed. If you're going to play, number one, you're going to have to make the grades and be passing and be eligible to play. But number two, you're representing the school and all the ones that work at the school. I felt like as principal that my football team and baseball team, whichever team, represented me. And how they acted and how they portrayed themselves was a direct reflection on myself and the school and the community that we served. And all that tied in to bring great pride into all these separate communities. And it started, right now it's better in the small schools, but it's also evident in the large schools. If you go to the Ocean Springs and Madison Central of the world, those communities really support education. And that's what it's all about. So that's where I'm coming from.
Sort of, y'all have in the past opposed the what they call the Tim Tebow rule too. Can you tell us what that is and speak a bit about that?
Tim Tebow rule is if you're homeschooled, if you're not enrolled in your local school, going to school and attending school, you can still go there and play sports as they offer. And we are against that for a lot of reasons. Number one, those kids that are being homeschooled, and there's some great homeschool programs out there. I'm not saying that there's not programs where an education is gotten, but any student who is being homeschooled does not face what students that are attending school do. They may not have to catch a bus at 6:30 in the morning and ride it to school. They don't have to walk the hallways between class changes. They don't have to learn how to get along with everyone at lunch and at break and face all that adversity. And maybe not even adversity, but I also think, guys, that part of a great education is not just about the academic side of it. It's learning how to deal with all these problems. It's learning how to get along with people that are not in your same socioeconomic level and people from all around. So that is part of what education to me is all about. And I think you learn that by attending school, by being there on a day-to-day basis, and by participating in all the extracurricular programs that goes on. One of the best extracurricular programs is band. It reaches more students and has a great pathway to a higher education. And you do have to learn how to get along with everybody and how to cooperate with everybody and do what needs to be done. So that is what the homeschool students are missing out on. And sooner or later, those students are going to be thrown into the workplace or to the college situation, and there's a real awakening there. They have not developed these skills over the years of how to deal with this. So, and then once again, a homeschool student, even if he's in a great homeschool program, doesn't have to get up and catch a bus. He can get up at 9 o'clock, he or she. They can get on their computer and do their work, and in 2 or 3 hours, they can go to the hitting cage and take batting practice or go to the gym and shoot basketball, where someone in the high school or junior high level cannot do that. They have to do all this. So that is why we are not in favor of a Tim Tebow rule.
And along those same lines, isn't there academic requirements for to participate in extracurricular activities? I mean, you have to maintain a certain grade point average or something.
Yes. There's a state law where each student has to maintain a 2.0 every year to be eligible for the semester. And then at Christmas, has to have a 2.0 in every subject that he's taking, he or she is taking, to be eligible for the spring semester. And also there's an absentee policy in there for a lot of schools. So at the expense of maybe hurting someone's feelings, our homeschool program in the state of Mississippi, there are some good ones and some parents are in good ones. Some of them, they just have to sign that they're being homeschooled, and there's really no curriculum except that what the parent teaches. And my question to someone, I know if I was there again, if I'm teaching my kid at home, they're going to have a 2.0 and be eligible because I not only have to live with them, I have to live with their mother. And I would hate to tell their mother I failed them.
Right.
So, and you have, and that's an extreme example, but you do have to take the low end of the Tim Tebow to the top end of being enrolled in a great program and getting grades and everything, but the whole spectrum is not there yet. So, and there again, you cannot replace the learning that takes place with students on a day-to-day basis just being in the school environment and learning how to deal with the real world.
Well, one thing I wanted to ask you, it's obvious y'all have been to these hearings. Speaker of the House has made clear this is going to be a huge political push this coming year with the legislature to expand school choice one way or the other. Don't know what we'll end up with, whether, universal vouchers or just portability between public schools. But I guess I wanted to ask you, is there a way for them to expand school choice and not cause the problems you foresee with activities? Is there a middle ground or a way to do it that you think could work and not cause these problems?
Yes. We have asked the legislature. Number one, we've made it clear that whatever our state legislature passes, we will abide by. That will be state law, and we're not going to go against state law, whether it be the worst case scenario or the best case scenario. This is the scenario that we could live with. If it is a public to public transfer and it's all about school choice, that's fine with us as long as they leave the eligibility up to the rules and regulations that we already have in our handbook that have been voted on and passed down through our member schools, which would mean this. If you lived in one school district and chose to go to another one and you did not move, you still stayed where you were, then you could go over there academically and enroll, and you could go there, but you would be ruled ineligible for one calendar year. Then after you set out 1 year, then your eligibility would pick up and you could play. And that's the way our rules are at this time. If you do not live in the school district where you are attending, you have to set out one calendar year. And I think our language in our handbook is you earn your eligibility then. Now, if the legislature will put that in their bill, when they write their bill, we can, like I said, we can live with anything they make law. But that would be the best case scenario for us and our schools, and would help maintain the competitive balance, because it is my belief that those good ones that are going to be so-called recruited are not going to go somewhere and sit out a year.
That'd be kind of like the old red shirt rule in college.
Right. Just like the old red shirt rule in college. You can go there, but you have to stay, because you're not going there and you're not paying the local taxes there and things. And I think that's what some of the superintendents will bring out in some of their meetings. But that would be the best case scenario if a school choice bill is passed. Now, the other part of that is, if that language is in there, once we make someone ineligible and that legislature gets a call, then he or she needs to say they are following their rules and regulations, and that is what we put in our state law. There's nothing we can do about that.
Sure. We did hear yesterday that Representative Owen mentioned that last year it was already in some failed bills that they were going to work with y'all and allow you to maintain your eligibility rules. Are you optimistic that y'all will be able to reach a compromise or work together on that?
I am very optimistic that we'll be able to reach a compromise with our legislature on that, yes.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here. Very, very interesting. This is yet another facet of the school choice debate to consider.
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Yeah. I should know this. And what's your policy now in terms? Seems like I've seen in the past. I don't follow high school sports like I used to, where you would see a private school playing a public school in a early game in a season. Am I imagining that, or is there a policy on that?
No, we changed our policy years and years ago to allow our public schools to play the MAIS Association if they get permission from us. And we give that permission. We have not denied that with schools that are in good standing with the MAIS. And at this time, the MAIS is an affiliate member of the National Federation of High Schools, which allows us to play them if we can. And right now at this time, we have a relationship where we are allowing our schools to play them.
Well, Mr. Neaves, as we kind of wrap up, anything else you'd like to add, or any message maybe for our state legislators?
No, I just want to. I would ask the state legislators to consider that these rules are not my rules. We've been in existence for 100 years. And we've always had a process where, in order for our rules to change, it has to come down through our districts and our schools. I can't just change a rule on a whim. It has to come through them. Because we've been around so long, and because these rules are what our schools want and abide by, I would like for them to consider, if they want to do school choice, to put in their language that we still do determine the eligibility for athletics and extracurriculars, and we will abide by that.
Well, we appreciate you coming on today and discussing this with us, and I know this is going to be an issue in the coming months, so we would certainly like to have you back on soon as things progress.
Well, any time that I can be available, and I will say this, I meant to be there representing us yesterday, but I had a heart catheterization yesterday, and they would not let me go.
And we truly appreciate you coming on. I think I talked with you, and David did too, earlier in the week. We're like, are you sure you're gonna come on the podcast? So we appreciate that effort, and Hope all that went
But
well.
everything come out good with the heart cast.
Well,
so
great.
Good.
You look
I'm
fine.
good, but I did want everyone to know why I wasn't down there representing. But Chad and Tim did a great job representing us. Tim is over eligibility, so he's well versed in it. Chad is president of our association, and I appreciate them showing up. So they did a great job. But I'll be available anytime we can work out the time.
Sounds good. We appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank y'all, and thank you for what you do.